And hello, everyone. Happy Monday to you. We've had some snow make its way through, and we have not one, two, three, but four weather systems that will be passing our area over the upcoming week. Not all areas going to see significant snow, but there'll be some ups and downs in our roller coaster weather ahead. Your forecast begins right now. But first, a quick message from my friends at Robert Gibb and Sons. For over 100 years, they have been providing residential, commercial, even industrial projects across the region when it comes to all mechanical needs: heating, plumbing, air conditioning, you name it, electrical as well. Robert Gibb and Sons, please give them a call if you have any of this work in mind. They'll get you taken care of. Please let them know Hutch sent you. Now let's take a look at what's going on across our nation. Heading into this Monday evening, look at a storm system swirling its way through the Mississippi River Valley into the Ohio River Valley. And we have some Kentucky flakes flying down south in Tennessee. It's some rain showers. And lake effect snow, as you've been hearing, continues on the downwind side. Now we have a northwest flow across these Great Lakes, and we continue to see snow. If you watched the football game last night in Buffalo, New York, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, even though we did have some wild activity on the radar here in the valley, we don't see a lot taking place in our neck of the woods on the radar. Many of these flakes were flying with blue skies behind them. It's that type of situation where we get clouds up high that can, what we call seed clouds below, and we get snowflakes flying. We can also see any moisture in the air when it's this cold just kind of wring itself out in the form of flakes with blue skies behind. Nonetheless, it's another cool day across the area. Quick look at our temperatures right now. So we do have a nice warm up that's starting to show up out to the west. Do you see it? My eyes see it. Check out Gillette, Wyoming. Are you joking? Look at this ridiculousness. They have 54 degrees. I'm sure they're having to go out in their shorts and cut the grass out there in Gillette, Wyoming. How about Billings, Montana? 46 degrees, and Livingston is at 55 there. Now, as we go into our neck of the woods, the temperatures rapidly fall into the western Dakotas, back into the teens, where we have Glen Olin at 10, Bismarck at 12, and here in our neck of the woods, single digits for many. In Carrington, we had 5 inches of snow in that James River Valley over the last 24 hours, and we're still feeling the impacts of that. In the Kennedy and Hallock area, 7 degrees, 14 for that Rosa War Road area, and 23 as we look out towards Waskish. How about Pelican Rapids and Fergus Falls? We're seeing some mid-teens there as well. Same thing goes for the Detroit Lakes area. All right, thanks to all of you for sharing some photos of the snowfall and ridiculousness that fell across your area. Here's a quick peek at some of the details there. And again, a beautiful video, a lot of beautiful shots here, and then we'll get to your forecast on 4 systems coming through here in just 1 second. But I do want to take a minute and say a very large amount of appreciation to all of you who have shared photos over the months and years. This is Crystal sharing from Jamestown. The Jamestown area in the James River Valley picking up between 4 and 5 inches of snowfall. And you can see it here in this beautiful scene. Thanks so much, Crystal, for sharing that photo. And a view from Jamestown video style here shared by Crystal as well, as those large flakes this morning kept flaking, and it definitely was a wintry scene. And on the tabletop out there is a look at some snowfall amounts. Now, if you can see, there is a 2 and a 3 up there, so a good couple of inches in the Rendezvous Park area in West Fargo, sitting on the tabletop there. So between 1 and 2 seems to be the rule here in the FM area for snowfall amounts. And again, another measurement. This was from that James River Valley in Kensal from Bubba. Look at that. It was kissing 5 inches last night, and that definitely was the area with the bigger amounts of snow. All right, let's take a look at some forecast details, and I'll talk a little bit about some snowfall that's on the way. And it is not going to be an overly snowy few days for several of us. Let's go right to the American forecast model for this, and I'll show you an active pattern that is about to ensue. Not all models agree on the precise track of these 4 systems, but the one that's coming tomorrow night, Tuesday night, is going to be very noticeable because it comes with a ripping amount of wind. That's right, we're breaking wind across the valley, something that we are, well, I guess known for windy weather. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, here we go. As I set this into motion, what you're going to notice as we head through our Monday night is that we have fairly quiet weather with high pressure slowly slipping to the south. That's going to increase the south wind as we go into the overnight and Tuesday. That means milder low temperatures tonight and a nice rising trend in the thermometers all across the region, particularly out west. Remember where we saw Gillette there in the 50s? Well, we won't see 50s here, but it's going to really warm up in our western counties. Where you see these red lines is where it will be the warmest in southwestern parts of North Dakota. Here comes an Alberta clipper screaming out of Saskatchewan, if you will. Maybe Hutch should call it a Saskatchewan screamer because it's going to scream with a lot of wind. South winds warm us up. This is a warm front causing snow showers mainly near heading towards Hudson Bay and Lake Winnipeg as we go through. But we will see a wind shift starting right here where you see these kinks in the isobars right here. This area, once that wind shifts, it's going to be northerly and northwesterly and it's going to tug down some mighty cold air. So as we're going through your morning on Wednesday, our warmest temperatures will be here in the Southern Valley. Some of us mid-30s in the early hours, and the wind will shift quickly. As we go into the mid-morning, most of us will have gusty north winds, 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts. You see this across Minnesota. The trees will slow down your gusts quite a bit, but 35 to 40, not going to be out of the question. Bands of snow here and there as colder and colder blobs of air burp their way down. And as that happens, we're going to wring out any moisture in the air. So a very brief warm-up tonight into the middle of your day tomorrow. Then this windy system will cause wind, icing temperatures, slippery roads, a reinforcing shot from Tuesday night into your Wednesday morning, and that wind will just continue throughout Wednesday with some very windy conditions for Minnesota, even into Thursday morning. And that's when I think we'll have some of the nastiest wind chills across the area as well. So wind chilly, cold high pressure makes its way in on Thursday, and we set the bar pretty low as we go into the late part of the week. But once this high slips south, we're going to see a return of south wind and west wind, and that will warm us. It's called downsloping wind. Wind coming from the heights of the Rocky Mountains comes down the slopes. It compresses and squeezes and gets warmer and warmer, and we'll notice that in Montana. We'll notice that in western North Dakota as we go through Friday. We start a warming trend. Saturday, and even into the day on Sunday. So there's some nice weather coming our way. I'm going to zoom down and take a look now at this American model as we get into farther periods. I got to jump the dates here just a little bit. Here we go. Here comes the next clippers. That starts on Friday. Do you see this little weak clipper system coming right out of Alberta, heading right toward northern Minnesota? A shot at snow Friday evening. Not too windy, just a light dash. That's clipper number one. Clipper number two comes in as we go into Saturday night and Sunday, but this is a bigger one on the American model. Look at the mixed precipitation here. We warm up enough where we could get some freezing snot out of the atmosphere as we go through. Behind it, north winds cool us off once again, and clipper number three carries us into early next week. Now, the European model, I'll just go over this real quickly, shows a little bit of a different progression, and I'm going to go right to Friday here. Here's clipper one, similar location and track to the American model. This is where we start to diverge. Clipper 2 comes through right away on Saturday night and into Sunday morning, mainly in the northern counties. And we will have another chance as we go into Monday as another clipper develops and works its way in. So 3 clippers in a row, Friday, Saturday, late Sunday, and into Monday is the way it looks. So a couple of models showing some differences. I will keep you abreast of the changes, but let's get right to what we have going on in your forecast on Hutch's weather. And as always, if you do have a question, comment, concern, or a story to share, please go ahead and share. Carrie says, checking in from Gonvic. It's very good to have you on board. Doug says, hey, Hutch, how does the temps look from these clippers in Rochester? Great question. You'll be on the south side. These clippers, since their track is going to be through southern parts of Canada and the prairies of Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Ontario, once they get into the Great Lakes, they blow up. The weather's going to be super nasty in Rochester, New York. I mean, ridiculous. But if you're talking about Rochester, Minnesota, you're going to be on the warm side of this system throughout. Snow chances very minimal. And for the most part, it's going to be noticeably milder in places like Rochester, southern Minnesota, and into South Dakota. It's our northern counties along the international border that will have the best chance at seeing just a progressive pattern where we're going to have a brief period of quiet weather, maybe even a break in the clouds, and then bam, just like that, we're going to have another shot of snow sliding through. Thanks for your question, Doug. It's always a pleasure to have you on board. Angel, hi from Badger. She said, thank you very much, Angel. I appreciate you being here. How much snow did Fargo get in the last 24 hours? Dan, that's a great question. My puppy, my furry friends, Leo and Pedro, we measured 1.5 inches in South Moorhead, and I'm hearing a lot of reports, 1.3, 1.4 inches, and 2 inches in Rendezvous Park in West Fargo. That's the measurements from the FM area. Varies a little bit, but by and large, 1 to 2 inches of snow. And it was that fluffy stuff, right? Just very fluffy. Thanks, Karen, for watching. Thanks, Nathan, for watching. Howdy, Avis. Good to have you on board. Thanks for all your questions. And thank you, Kathy, for your pat on the back for Hutch's weather. Now, let's take a look at what the numbers look like, shall we? Because we got some things to talk about. showers of snow. And before I get off of this page right here, I want to show you how much snow potential there is with this. So I'm going to turn this over and look. Now, do not pay too much particular attention to any of these numbers you see here, but what we can do is get an idea of the potential for snow from the European model. Notice the system that comes through as we go through Tuesday night into Wednesday will really release a lot of snow in the central prairies of Manitoba, Ontario, and even Saskatchewan. Now, as we go through, look at the Great Lakes getting blasted by those systems. They pick up moisture from the Great Lakes and they slam areas that already got 30, 40, 50 plus inches of snow and counting are going to have a terrible, terrible week of winter weather as we go into Wednesday and Thursday as that system works its way through. But wait, folks, there's more. These clippers that make their way through with little shots of snow in northern Minnesota here are going to hit the Great Lakes, pick up energy again, and continue dumping snow in the northeastern Atlantic states and the Great Lakes states. So the snowfall will keep accumulating there. But as we go through the forecast period now and into next week, it doesn't look like a lot of snow or appreciable snow amounts here in the northern plains. So keep that in mind. Shots of snow along the international border will be here. We'll have some brief unsettled weather up north. If you're in Rochester, notice not a lot of shovel trouble there. Terry, thank you. I appreciate you very much for watching. Okay, let's look at numbers, shall we? Here we go on this live version of Hutch's Weather. And if you have a comment or question, even though it's live now, if you join later, leave the question. I read everything because you're important, and I want to make sure that we try to do the best to answer your questions. And by we, I mean me and my feline forecaster, Leo DiCatrio, and my puppy prognosticator, Pedro. 7 degrees in the morning. That's a lot warmer than we've been. We're closer to 0 this morning, so not as cold as we go through. Notice the 20s returning out in the western Dakotas with that system that was bringing 50s to Gillette, Wyoming right now. Our winds here southerly and light. We'll have a few areas in central Minnesota with northerly winds, so don't be too upset when you wake up with a northerly wind. Now here I have arrows to explain the differences in wind across our region as we go through Tuesday. The approach of that clipper out of the Lake Winnipeg area will bring north winds to our northern counties and a temperature change that will begin taking place Tuesday afternoon. For us here, there's going to be some southerly winds that will increase throughout the day. So in the valley, 10 to 25 miles per hour with the strongest winds arriving later in the day. Temperatures rising to 27 on your afternoon drive home. This is a snapshot at 4 in the afternoon. Our temperatures keep rising as 30s punch their way into the late evening and overnight hours here in the Southern Valley. That's right, 30s. Tuesday night, after 4 o'clock, after this snapshot forecast takes place. Look at the 50s, Rapid City, Buffalo, Belle Fourche, all those areas will be kissing 50 degrees and growing coconuts. But for us, well, we'll be watching the squirrels gather nuts of a different variety as they are getting prepared for this north wind to make its way through. Overnight Tuesday and Wednesday, it all changes. The gusty winds and the north flow will bring a cold shot of air, a little bit of snow shower activity, mainly in the northern counties and mainly in Minnesota as this cold front moves out to the east. Not a lot of snow potential across North Dakota, but the 5 inches of fluffy flakiness that's in the central part of the state could fly around a little bit if it doesn't get too warm too quickly as we go through your Tuesday. So there's still some variables here that could change that 7-day planner. 7 in the morning in Fargo, 27 in the afternoon, still rising into the overnight. I think we'll hit the mid-30s out there before temperatures start to fall. Ben, hi. Lake Winnipeg, big enough to cause, you betcha. Lake effect snow happens off of Lake Winnipeg as well. I'll show you a little bit of a snippet on that. Falling temperatures all day on Wednesday. Brutal 8 degrees with winds gusting to 45 miles per hour. It's going to be a ear froster. All right. It's going to be a snotsicle former into Thursday morning because these temperatures, 4 below 0 on Thursday morning, combined with winds over 20 miles per hour, mean wind chills will be 25 below for some of our area. We stay cold, so Wednesday and Thursday will be the bottom of the pit, if you will, and then we start climbing out of that there pit. 14 on Friday, the next weekend ahead. Clipper 1 on Friday, by the way, remember that. Saturday, Clipper 2, and then Sunday night into Monday, Clipper 3. The timing could change because they're such fast-moving systems. It may change a little bit. I will keep you on top of that. And the track can change too. And if it takes a more southerly bend to the track, then more of us may have a chance at some flaky weather. So that is a look at that. Now let's talk about these wind chills again on Thursday. I've fashioned up this fancy graphic here. Northwest winds 20 to 40 miles per hour in the early morning hours on Thursday. So Wednesday night to Thursday morning. Wind chills will approach 20 below, and I think up in our northern counties here, a good shot at a few areas being briefly closer to 30 below zero. So we'll call it dangerous, and make sure you have your survival kit in your vehicle, no matter what you're driving. Ben asking a question for Manitoba. Let's go right to that now, because I want to make sure. I'm going to grab out a fun model here. It's called the Canadian model, but you know what? When that lake ice is over, if it does, how long that takes will really kind of influence how much lake effect snow we can have. But it's a huge body of water, right? So those huge bodies of water can certainly do that. Let's go ahead. I'm going to give me one moment here while I switch over to the Canadian model here. And I think I want to, I don't know if I have a regional map that'll take me up there, but let's go for it. Let's see. Here's Canada. Here's the Lake Winnipeg area, not Hudson Bay. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the prairies of Manitoba. Let me see. There's North Dakota, Manitoba right here. See if you can see this. Yes. Okay. So now let's go down here. So here's North Dakota on the bottom of your page. And here we got Manitoba. And here's a cold high pressure system. Let's set this into motion now. Here's our warm front making its way through. Now this is south wind. So the warm front is bringing this warm air from North Dakota, rising it over the top of the cold pool here and squeezing out flakes. This is not conducive to snow in Winnipeg from Lake Winnipeg, because the wind is moving from the south over the lake there. Now, as we move on in time, and you can see the shores of the big Hudson Bay over on this side, the north winds start taking hold here as that system works its way, and the winds get gusty. So south of Lake Winnipeg, we could start to see some banding of snow that sets up similar to lake effect snow that we see out in the Great Lakes. I'm not seeing a great example of this on the far northern fringes of this. Let's take a look at another model here. This is the American model. Now let's go to the Canadian model and see if they pick out anything more suspicious for you, Ben, there, as we look at the Canadian prairies of Manitoba here. Again, just further reference, there's North Dakota. Here's Manitoba here. Here's the low moving through. Warm front here. Snow a little farther south on this Canadian model. And because of that, there will be a chance of some snow. Do you see this little area here downwind? Once the wind becomes northerly is when the storm could fetch, is what we call it, some additional moisture off the lake. I do not know personally the status of the ice on Lake Winnipeg. Some of the North Dakota and Minnesota lakes are icing up, Ben, so that will make a big difference. Once it ices up, it shuts off that lake effect snow, but because it's such a huge body of water, a little longer. Flying out tomorrow morning, American Columbus to Dallas to Fargo. Glad the weather will be smooth sailing. And that's right, Matthew. It does look pretty quiet for most of your journey, although we did get some significant snow in the Chicago area. And sometimes when we get these lake effect snows in different parts of the country, it can affect air traffic, even in places like Dallas, because planes don't arrive on time. So the lake effect snow going on in the Northeast that is going to be affecting places like Chicago, Detroit, Toledo, on into parts of Ohio and New York State. It could impact some air travel across the country. I think the route you're taking, though, looks to be pretty good. All right, that is a look at Hutch's weather. I think we've gotten most of the questions answered. Angel's asking about accumulating snow in Badger and Roseau in the next week. Let me go ahead and answer that for you because we got a little time, and I'm going to go to the European model on that. Well, no, let's go to the American model. Let's go there. I do want to pull up a view of just our area, so let's go there. Give me one moment while I click the right buttons here. I got to pay attention to where my mouse is clicking. Okay, so now we should see a map of our region. And I'm going to flip this over and we're going to take a look at some winter products here. And we're going to look at snowfall. And we're going to go back up here and we're going to watch. Now, as we go through this first system that's coming through, notice the Northland here, Roseau County, Kitson County, all the way out to Lake of the Woods, will have the best chance at seeing some accumulations from, this is basically Tuesday night into Wednesday. So throughout the day on Wednesday, a chance for some accumulating snow. Look at southern Manitoba there, Ben, on this particular model, picking up on a little bit more in the way of snowfall downwind from the big lake there. So keep that in mind. There could be some places with 6 times 2.54, so that's 12 plus another half. That's on, well, you know, we're talking about, I'm going to go with 14 centimeters there, Ben, of snow in some places up there in Ontario and Manitoba as this system works its way through. Now, again, Roseau County, depending on who you ask there, that's what it's looking like as we go through the first wave. Friday is that next wave. Doesn't look too impactful for us, but as we go into Saturday and Sunday, our northern counties could have a much better chance as we see the second and third waves of snow bringing more appreciable snowfall amounts to our northern and even counties in the Red Lakes area down towards the Bemidji area, Clearwater County as well, getting a little bit of snow. So a little bit of snow. There'll be some wind, a lot of wind as we go through Wednesday. So keep that in mind. Wednesday into Thursday, a lot of wind, which has a tendency to break up ice. So you know the saying, ice is never truly safe. Check it twice before you go out. That's a look at your forecast. Thank you all very, very much. Ben, I wish you the best. Thanks for the info. Was curious about that. You bet. You know what? We can take a look at one more thing just while we're at it, Ben, because I just want to settle my own thing and teach everyone on board here a little bit of meteorology. We can look at visible satellite imagery when it's clear out. And when it's clear outside, we can get a better feel for lakes that are frozen versus ones that are not. Now, it's too cloudy over our area, so the clouds look white and it's hard to determine. But if it's a crystal clear day and we've had a lot of snow, then the snow reflects that white light and it appears like it's cloudy over areas. So if the white isn't moving, it's often snowpack on the ground. If a lake is iced over, it looks completely different, right? So it reflects a lot of white energy when we start to see the areas. So as the lakes here, the Red Lakes, Lake of the Woods, Rainy Lake, as these lakes start icing up, we'll start noticing them taking on a color that's not dark blue, but white on the visible satellite imagery. So this is a look at the visible satellite imagery here. And what we're noticing on that is just too much in the way of clouds to do any diagnosis at all. But there's Lake Winnipeg as you look up to the north out there, and a little bit more in the way of clear skies there. But that's something you can keep an eye on. And I'll show you another example as we have some time so you can see when the icing is taking place. Now, that doesn't mean it's safe to go ice fishing just because you see ice from the satellite. So make sure you're making your own measurements and being very, very safe there. It's interesting this time of year and in the springtime to watch which lakes are starting to open up and which lakes this time of the year are starting to fill with ice. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Remember, you can get the very latest anytime, anywhere on hutchesweather.com. Hutchesweather.com also has some new tools for you to keep your eyes on whatever's going on the road conditions. So know before you go and head over to hutchesweather.com, and we've compiled a great list of local Department of Transportation sites for you right on the website at the top bar. You see where it says road reports up here, road conditions? That's what you want to click. And then there's a snowfall amounts tool that you can click on and zoom across the entire nation and see what's going on with regards to those snowfall amounts. Thanks so very much. Let me know a comment if you'd like to see anything else added to hutchesweather.com. It's a work in progress, and we're continuing to try to meet your needs when it comes to being your one-stop source for all things weather. Thank you for your trust. Thanks for watching. Pass along the good word that I'm out here. If you know a business is interested in sponsoring Hutch's Weather, have them give me a holler, give me a shout out and a message, and we will get in touch. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful Monday night, and go Broncos. Woo!